Hi-ho, everybody. It's your old pal Fido coming to you from the dungeon for a special Bally table edition of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. It's episode 30. I'm flying solo. It's been a really challenging week. Normally I'd have a video posted by now, which is why I'm going to post this one with no edits. I want to get it to you as promised, as planned, as close to planned as I can. But it's, like I said, it's been a hell of a week. Been dealing with a lot of challenges. Iced out by a good friend of mine. Had to take another to small claims court. We'll see how that turns out. I'd like you to send your good vibes to one of my cats. Had to take Princess to the vet. So send him your best, guys. I could use a lot of positive vibes this week. Probably the biggest hit was getting burglarized. Bunch of scumbag thieves. They got my drums. They got my main kit, my jobber. I'm going to post a pic here. So if any of you see these beautiful blue Mapex tubs anywhere around you in the tri-state area, upper Midwest, who knows how far they're going to travel. They're easy to spot. Keep your eyes open. The flip side of that is I've had a lot of people sharing my post, putting the word out, putting out an APB on those guys, and stepping up to lend a hand, knowing I got gigs coming up this weekend, and I'm going to get through them because I've got a really good tribe of people. I'm humbled, I'm grateful, and so thank you. That gratitude extends to all of you out there, my Kiss Army brothers and sisters. Speaking of whom, you might notice the shirt, this week's shirt. I'll move your pieces. You know I will. It's alive too. That's staying in. Big thanks to Tommy and Brant and AJ over at Critical Kiss for making this shirt happen and making a great channel happen. Those guys are awesome. It really drives home the point that this little band of Kiss creators we've got in 2025 are some really solid peeps. When the times get tough, and they certainly are right now, we've got each other. We've got this wellspring of joy that is Kiss. So thanks to you guys. Also thanks to Kiss Army Things. I haven't had a chance to shout those guys out on their own episode. Their last episode was a dive into the Scooby-Doo movie, which I'll confess that I've only watched once, but after Xander and Daphne's deep dive, I'm definitely gonna go back to it. I watched it originally when it came out with my buddy Tim Flynn. You may remember Tim from episode 2 of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. He is in fact the inspiration for the name, and we were pretty stoked about that Scooby-Doo movie when it came out. Stoked enough to get together at his place and watch it. But I tell you, we didn't decipher quite as many layers as Xander and Daphne did. So I really enjoyed that episode, and it's going to be fun getting back into that. So yeah, who else do we need to shout out? Our fellow Kiss creator, Rick. It's all for you, Demon. You know what he does. You know what he did. Because he likes to rock and roll all night and journal every day. It's a year-long guide celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. Nobody does it quite like Rick. And that's what we're going to get into right now. We get into episode 30 with July 16th. Have you ever visited the Rock Walk and put your hands in the Kiss handprints on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, California? Would you consider this a Kiss destination worth traveling for? I have not visited. I have been there a couple of times. Not to the Rock Walk. I mean, honestly, I've driven down Sunset. I've driven by the Rock Walk, but I have not visited it as an attraction per se. And I would definitely consider it a destination. I got to get back sooner than later. I'd like to get back. I mean, obviously, I was out there for the Kiss for John Five's Knights in Satan Service Museum. Didn't have time to take in the Rock Walk. I'd like to get out there to see another former guest, my pal Virgil Brewer, holding it down in LA. There's lots of Kiss activity, a lot of fun to be had out there. So I'm looking forward to my next trip, and you guys should totally make it because it's far out. July 17th. In your opinion, which of the first 3 Kiss studio records, Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill, is the best? Explain in detail using your favorite tracks as an example. Well, my first of those 3 was Dressed to Kill. And I don't know how much of that latch-on nostalgia has to do with it. I mean, it's really hard picking a favorite of those 2. I'd have to say nostalgia plays quite a part because moving backward from Alive, Dressed to Kill, boy, I mean, it's got an urgency. The way it kicks off with Room Service, that's one of the more energetic tracks, I think. But it's sort of bright, has a certain tone to it. It drives. Going straight from that into Two-Timer, those first couple of chords, it implies a whole lot of darkness. I remember, I mean, even at that young age, I knew that Gene was going to be singing that song, even just that opening riff. I just, it starts with Paul with Room Service, do 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 do. It has the darkness to it, and I was like, here comes Gene, and boy, does he deliver. Just Getaway, again with Gene, especially when it comes to bassists. When I'm trying to turn a bassist onto Kiss, or really anyone onto Kiss, anyone who thinks they're just a gimmick or thinks Gene's just a egotistical windbag with no talent, when I'm trying to convince them that he is a bassist of note, Getaway is one of the first tracks that I lay on him. Stepping back to Ladies in Waiting, that solo, that sort of harmonized lead, just fantastic. The intro to Rock Bottom, it's just so dramatic. Love Her All I Can's always been a favorite, with those drum breaks. Those were some of the first drum breaks that I endeavored to learn as a drummer. It was a toy kit. I remember the first kit I had was a little tin and paper bicentennial guy. It wasn't much, but then I really wanted a Muppet Show kit. It had plastic heads. It was a little more substantial than what I had. I didn't get that, but I think my mom got me my next kit, which was similar in construction to the Muppet Show kit. It was a disco beat. It had a little sort of neon approximation of John Travolta on the bass drum. I'll try to find. No, actually, I won't. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of graphic drop-ins to this episode because I really want to get it up for you sooner than later. But if I do find an archival image of that disco beat kit, I'm going to make sure FL Dog sees it. His Travolta fetish will be sassified. But yeah, I digress. But getting back to the question, Dressed to Kill's sentimental favorite. The first album is just undeniably great. Hotter Than Hell, the weird darkness of that album, murky is an adjective that's often used to describe Hotter Than Hell. But I just think in terms of like songcraft and energy, I think Dressed to Kill stands ahead above both of the first two records. Moving forward to July 18th, happy birthday to my absent co-host Powie. I am gonna hopefully see him later this week, and we'll catch up with an episode for you at full strength. Right now, he's in the penalty box. Wishing him the best. And again, July 18th is that boy's birthday. Send him some belated love on that tip. July 18th asked, have you ever owned or seen the 1979 JCPenney Midwestern Manufacturing plastic light-up visor? These visors were sold in red, yellow, and black and featured a large KISS logo with lights powered by a 9-volt battery. The company also made Superman and disco versions. Would you have worn one of these in 1979? Would you wear one today? How much would you be willing to spend in today's collecting market on a KISS visor? If given the opportunity, would you purchase a disco visor simply for pop culture nostalgia? The answer to all of those questions for me would be a no. I'm not knocked out. I've never been a visor fan. When I was a kid, the only visor I liked was the visor, the green plastic one that was built into a Panama hat. If you didn't have your sunglasses, you could pull. I don't know what the function of that visor was. It was like this, I don't know, bankers. I think maybe they call those bankers visors. You see them in movies, little gamblers would wear them, but they're just like green plastic and you hike them down. But baseball caps over visors any day. I guess I wasn't such a merch freak as a kid that I would sport anything with the KISS logo on it. Yeah, so the fact that they're powered with a 9-volt battery reminds me of zany zappers. I don't know if anybody remembers those. They were similarly wired, powered by a 9-volt battery with a little button clip on it. They were sunglasses with a little red LED right smack in the middle of each lens. It was a fad. And it was probably around the same time, like 78, 79. I remember going to Toys R Us and begging my dad for a pair of zany zappers. We both got them. And I think they both broke within a few weeks. But yeah, I wouldn't have worn one in 79. I wouldn't wear one today. I wouldn't be, especially in today's collecting market. I'm sure they're ridiculously overpriced. So yeah, no across the board. Fido and visors, not really a hot item. Moving on to July 19th. Who do you consider to be the funniest member of KISS? I mean, come on. I think we all have the same answer to this one, right? It's Ace. He's a plumber. I mean, Ace is Ace is hands down the funniest. Peter had his moments, I think, maybe unintentionally funny. Paul and Gene were always a little bit on the serious tip. But if you don't think Ace is the funniest member, I'd like to hear you sound off in the comments and explain your crazy answer. Moving on to July 20th. Summer is love gun weather. What is the more powerful song from the album? I Stole Your Love or Love Gun? List out every good point to each song below, and the winning song will be your summer anthem. Well, Love Gun is definitely a summer album. I have pretty definite memory. One particular memory is kind of odd. It does not really related to Love Gun at all, but I mean only to me. But I remember, might have been the first time I ever saw rain fall on a bright sunny day, and I was listening to Kiss, looking out my window at what I thought was a bizarre meteorological phenomenon. Phenomenon. List out every good point to each song. Again, in the interest of brevity, I'm not going to make a list. They're just great songs. And you know it. And I know it. We all know it. But, and I don't know if it's more impactful because it leads off the record. I've always been a bigger fan of I Stole Your Love. The live version's amazing. The Hot in the Shade, that was an absolute shocker as an opener. Kind of like King of the Nighttime World was a shocking opener on the Dynasty tour. It was just like, wow. It just kind of, wow. It just set you back on your heels. I just, again, the urgency, there's an anger to I Stole Your Love. I mean, it's kind of right there in the title. It's like, it takes this idea of love, or, thinly veiled reference to sex. It's like, I'm taking it, and it, Paul, paints a picture of a woman that she's getting her just desserts. She's not been the coolest, and now it's payback time. You can infer whatever kind of meaning from that you want. There's a lot of layers in there, and I suppose there is for Love Gun too. But yeah, I Stole Your Love is just, how does it feel? It's just, ow. It's a killer, man. It's a great rock song. I think more people know Love Gun than know I Stole Your Love. Even just casual Kiss fans are probably more familiar with Love Gun, but if I'm picking a summer anthem, it's I Stole Your Love. Moving on to July 21st, Kiss the Originals was released on July 21st. And this question is related to it. Were you first exposed to the first 3 Kiss albums by themselves? Or did you first hear them via the originals? What are your thoughts on this package? Should the US have also released the originals too in 78, as was released in Japan? Well, as I mentioned in one of the previous questions, I was exposed to the first 3 on their own. My first album was Alive. Then I got Dressed to Kill. Probably think for my birthday or Christmas, not sure which. And then I bought Destroyer with birthday money. So yeah, I was, and then Hotter Than Hell and the first album came later. But I never had the originals for quite a few years, and my thoughts on the package. I've got a couple of different versions. I think the main difference between the two is the size of the booklet that comes in the originals. But with regard to the originals too, I mean, I got this out to just kind of show it off, I guess. But I mean, look at that, dude. Look at that. It's tantalizing. I mean, remember the first time seeing this and not even knowing that it was a thing. But come on now. I mean, even that. I mean, everything about this is it's the originals too. It's great. I mean, it's almost on par with a live. I mean, nothing will quite, equal the case candy, or I guess in this case sleeve candy majesty of Alive 2, but Originals 2 comes really close. The masks, I mean, come on. These are so fantastic. As for whether or not Casablanca should have released this in the U.S., I don't know. I'm inclined to say no. I think that part of what makes the Originals 2 so cool is the Japanese script, the Japanese aesthetic, the more, I don't know if I wouldn't call that, traditional kabuki, but I would say that the take on the characters, with, as they're rendered in as the masks, that's part of what makes that really cool. And I don't know if it would have the same cool factor, the same impact, had they come out. I mean, and that's a lot of, in that 77 to 79 window, maybe that would be, if there's such a thing as too much Kiss merch. I'm sure at the time, at that age, I would have been like, bring it on, give me more of that. At that, I probably would have flipped out if I would have known when I was 7 years old that Originals 2 existed. We just had no idea, and find out about that till well into the 80s. But so yeah, that's kind of maybe it's an unpopular take that it should be Victor or Japan exclusive. I mean, it probably it would have cost me less money to get it, as a domestic release, I'm sure. But I think it's cool, enjoying its life as a Japanese import. So moving on to July 22nd. I believe this is gonna be our 7th and final question for episode 30 of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. I really do appreciate you being here. July 22nd, the Kiss Symphony Alive 4 was released today. Was the Kiss Symphony a breakthrough idea for the band, given the fact that Metallica had done the same type of production just 4 years earlier? why does the Kiss Symphony stand out as groundbreaking for you? Or does it? Well, it took me a while to get Alive 4. I think I had mixed feelings about it when it came out. Like, I wasn't like eagerly anticipating it. It wasn't something I had to have right away, and I didn't have it right away. That had really nothing to do with Metallica. I was far less enthused about Metallica at that point, and the juxtaposition of symphonic music with those four dudes, that just seemed a far less attractive proposition to me than Alive 4. You know, there's a lot more potential. You know, I remember when I first, even before I heard Alive 4, when I heard that it was happening, my first thought was, ooh, Great Expectations. You know, I think though, I don't know that I'd necessarily call it groundbreaking, but I think it's valid, certainly valid. A big standout for me is the version of Strutter on Alive 4. I think Paul does a fantastic job with that version of Strutter. I think that's one of his better, like, late period, 21st century Paul vocals. Yeah, Alive 4 is good. Whether it's groundbreaking, I mean, that's debatable, but I don't need something to be groundbreaking for me to dig it. So that's it for this week. We're going to wrap it up. I really, again, appreciate you tuning in for this episode. Oh yeah, another sort of bummer about this week was the passing of Ozzy. I see over my shoulder, there's my Ultimate Sin carnival mirror that I got back in the day for popping some balloons with a dart, as was often the way to get such coolness. Yeah, it's there's obviously a lot of parallels between Ozzy and Kiss. Certainly for me, I've often referred to my dark ages with Kiss, and there were a lot of things that sort of like filled that space between, like late 1980 and 1983. Ozzy was definitely chief among them. That's when I guess Kiss's absence gave me the space to really like declare to my mom and to the rest of my friends that I was a metalhead. That space, those dark ages, was all about Ozzy, Quiet Riot, Def Leppard. I mean, I could go on and on about that, but mainly I wanted to bring that up because we lost a giant. So big respect to Ozzy. Big respect to you, my fellow soldiers in the Kiss Army. Remember to put your two lips together and kiss that subscribe button. Remember the words of the Barbarian. Play hard, play fair, nobody hurt.